There is a new church invite that is going through X and people are not happy with it. This came across my feed through the Honest Youth Pastor, who is a fantastic follow, both on X and on YouTube. And yes, I call it X, not Twitter, because I'm a brand guy. Let's call it what it is. But this church invite is getting people upset, number one, because they are, I think, projecting their own insecurities into the ad. Number two, they don't just like the ad itself. They don't like what the church is trying to represent. And number three, which I'm not going to touch too much on in this video or in any video, they don't like the pastor. And I'm not here to talk about pastors. I'm not here to condemn other shepherds. That's not my place here. What I'm going to share with you here is kind of take a look at the ad, what they did well, what they didn't do well, how you should possibly respond if your church invite doesn't go well. And if we haven't met before, my name is Justin Nava, founder of Nava Church Marketing. You can find me on X at the Justin Nava. All the links are down below. And I want 1 million churches to become the cornerstone of their communities, meaning that when someone feels the pull of God, when they need help or support in whatever season, hope, faith, healing, community, they think of your church. And part of that, to get your church on their minds, like planting your church in the minds of your community, is doing things like this ad. So I want to talk about this today, but if you haven't already, watch my training in the description as well. You're going to see, in fact, why don't I just go there right now, youtube.com/Nava Church Marketing. Go to my channel here. You'll see how to turn website visitors to in-person guests. Pause that there. In here, you're going to see exactly what we do that gets people clicking through your website. If you look in your analytics, the average church website is going to be rejecting 7 out of every 10 people coming to the website, which means they come and they leave without doing anything. Follow this path. You'll get that cut over in half. And you'll have more people learning about your church, seeing what Jesus can do in their lives through your church. And watch this video. There's no sales pitch in it. It's a training video, 38 minutes. And I'm going to give you the step-by-step on how to transform your website. So let's get into the ad itself, right? Because this is probably how people are going to discover your church if you do a church invite like this. And they're going to go to your website, but you got to get people to know about your church to visit your website. So this is an ad put out by, I believe it's Kingstone Church. I'm going to pull up their church here to take a look at. This came across my feed through the Honest Youth Pastor, and you know he's tongue in cheek about it. I think he has the right mindset about this. So he says it's strange that people would think that this is an oddity amongst believers. And what does the ad say? The ad says smiling wives, obedient children, loud singing, strong handshakes, young marriages, good manners. I'm reading this for the people that don't have good glasses like I do. Biblical preaching and reverent worship. Now, and this is getting a lot of attention here. Let me pull up the original here. First of all, I don't know if he's serious about this or not. Ben Marsh, I don't know these pastors, but he said, holy smokes, this is an ad for an abusive husband to join your church. If you think, first of all, this is where the projection comes out. If you think a smiling wife, obedient children, young marriages, and good manners comes from an abusive relationship, you have a misunderstanding of what a good relationship is, okay? You probably have a misunderstanding of what toxic masculinity really is, what it real good godly masculinity looks like, truly. But I would agree with some of the comments down here below. So I disagree with that. I think that's just a dumb take. And again, if he's being tongue in cheek, good for you, because I can't tell. Yeah, how can a church provide, this is what makes me think this is tongue in cheek. Smiling wives, how can the actual born in H nonsense is that? How can a church provide that? Well, the church doesn't provide that. A husband ideally would provide that. This is the critique though, right? Notice it says smiling and not necessarily joyful or happy. People automatically think that women are so miserable that if they're smiling, it can't be because they're happy. That's just weird to me. That is just weird. It comes from I never heard this before, by the way, Fundy Church. I'm guessing that means fundamentalist church. And yeah, and then here's where people are like, well, what do you want it to say? You want them to have angry wives, disobedient children, dead fish, handshakes, divorces? Like, yeah, I mean, why would you be upset that this? I think the upsetness comes from a fight against the truth. The same reason why people fight that the earth is way more than 6,000 or 7,000 years old, that Jesus wasn't real, or he was real, but he's not the savior. He didn't raise from the dead, and religion is a cult. Christianity is the same people that just fight nonsense like that. They just want to fight it because they don't want to admit the truth that Jesus is Lord. And so they see something like this and they say, this can't be all it's crocked up to be. What is it? There has to be something wrong with this. And they go and look for something wrong. The truth of the matter is, whoever this went out to, most people disregarded it, but the people that this invite was created for, it probably resonated with them. Because if you dig more into the responses here, you'll see that, this is an ad mainly for men. This is a church invite mainly for men. Okay. And what is a man? I mean, dude, I want these things too. I would love my wife to smile more. I would love my child to be more obedient. Loud singing for men, that's good because we don't want to hear ourselves sing. That's why churches should have loud music, not just being blasted out by the worship band, but by the congregation as well. Strong handshakes. I mean, yeah, we don't want that. We don't want weak handshakes. I mean, get some grip there. Young marriages. I get it. Good manners. Absolutely. Biblical preaching, reverent worship. I would put that up top. But, again, if you focus on reaching insiders, meaning reaching people that are already in church, then yeah, you would put biblical preaching and reverent worship at the top. But that's not what's keeping men up at night. What's keeping men up at night in this community is my wife is unhappy. My kids don't listen to me. I don't have any good friends. I want something good for my kids. I'm just kind of going down the list. And maybe I don't have a church community. But you don't want to lead with, look at how great our church is because our church is so great. We want to lead with, we understand where you are and what you desire. And the church isn't the answer, by the way. Jesus is the answer. The church is just a vehicle. And so to lead with smiling wives is actually a good lead. Is it poorly executed? Maybe. I think there's an argument for that. But it's actually a good lead because this is what's going to stop a man who's struggling with these things, who desires these things, and gets him to pay attention to the church. That's the number one thing that this ad needs to do, right? And so whenever you see stuff like this, just remember all the comments here are not the intended audience. All the women freaking out over this are not the intended audience. All the men freaking out on this would probably not fit in at that church either. They have their own church that they need to be discipled in, okay? And hopefully it's not an untheological church. Untheological, is that a word? I'm making that a word now. And Honest Youth Pastor, again, great commentary here. He's like, yeah, this ad has some shortcomings, but this is the descriptors of what you would find in a Christian household. Smiling wife doesn't mean smiling like even when she's hurting inside, right? Like women are going to have some issues. Men are going to have some issues. Children are going to disobey. But again, we're casting out the desire that this can happen when you follow Jesus and discover him at our church maybe. Right. So like, it's not a perfect ad, but it is speaking to kind of the outcomes of what happens when you follow Jesus as the man of your household. And when I mentioned that, people will project themselves into this, here's exactly what I'm talking about. There was a comment here that I want to pull up here. I don't see. Here it is. Yeah. A list of expectations. And I think he said, well, I guess I can't find it now, but there was a comment that said like, notice how this is all about the women and the kids and there's nothing about the man. Like they think that the church is going to enslave the women and the kids because it doesn't talk about what's expected of the man. Whereas if you are a godly man, the smiling wives and obedient children do not come when dad is not following Christ and sacrificially loving his family. Okay. And so, you can read as like, hey, this is going to enslave your women and kids and you're going to be comfortable as a man. Or you can read it as we're going to get you in shape to be the man that God's made you to be. So your wife is going to smile more because she knows she's following a godly man. Your children are going to obey because they see purpose beyond your demands. Right? Your kids are going to get married young because they're going to understand what a relationship should look like. So, and so, if you want to project that this church is going to call men to be better, which then comes across which then you see, your wife's happier, your kids are, and again, to make the assumption that this is abuse is just insane, right? I think this is the pastor, Dale Partridge, Kingsway. He shows that this is the other side, where they talk about their commitments. And of course, this is very more churchy, right? Okay, so we are a Reformed doctrine, real discipleship. I think that needs to go first, honestly. Christ exalting, gospel focused. Okay, so worship with us, connect with us, barcode. Okay, so this is fine. This is good. Can it be better? I think so. Here's what's missing in this. Okay. We are pointing to features and not benefits, to speak marketing language. We're pointing to outcomes and not the person itself, the journey they're going to go on. And not only that, we don't do discipleship so our wives are happier. We don't do discipleship, and if someone's going to clip that, we don't do discipleship so our children obey. Actually, I guess we do discipleship so our children obey more. We do discipleship because that's what we're called to do, because we know that Christ is coming back and our time on this earth is limited, and we've been given a greater commission than to just live our daily lives, right? I don't want to make this video. I'm doing it because I think this is the best way to help churches get the word out, to save more lives, to help get their congregation more excited to make disciples. So, smiling wives, obedient children, loud, like this is fine. But I think to compile this down, I would add, even if I kept this here, I would add just another sentence, just maybe do you want to be a better husband? Right? Do you want your wife to smile more? Do you want your kids to obey more? Do you want to worship in a manner that's not feminine or makes you feel weird? Do you want to be among other men that are raising up their kids that can fellowship and community with your kids? Like when you just add that one sentence, first of all the women, the women that are freaking out are going to freak out either way, because they're not freaking out about the ad. They're freaking out about Jesus Christ, and they're just using the ad as the next scapegoat. Okay. All the men that are freaking out about this, same thing, right? They're just looking for something. So whenever you have to, lesson number one, by the way, whenever you put out ads for your church, whenever you try to promote your church and spread the word, the same people that are going to make fun of you, insult you, and throw hot coffee on you because you try to preach the gospel to them, they're going to do the same thing when you try to share about your church with them. Okay. You just got to rub it off. And that's something that I had to overcome as well, right? Especially when we do ads. You should see the crazy kooky things that I get just trying to tell churches that I can help them with their website, and people just start going off in comments about churches are a cult. And it's like, I'm not even talking to you. Why are you stopping and watching this video and commenting? Pray for them. Pray for that person. So I think I would add that one call out there. We call it a call out in marketing. Just hey man, do you want a better life? That better life is going to come through Jesus. And so I think that's something there. And then on the back is information about the church itself, right? So I think you could do this a little bit better. Like you could have the call out, and then maybe there should be like a call to action on this side. Because if you just have this, you're just listing features. I think there could be a better thing. Maybe put this down here, worship with us or connect with us. And then on the back, you can have more information about the church. I'm not doing this on the fly here. I didn't rehearse any of that. I didn't plan this. I'm just talking out loud here, brainstorming a bit. So, and then, yeah, why don't the husbands smile? We never said the husbands don't smile. Do the women also have firm, like this? Again, this person is just searching for something to make fun of. And they're not helpful. So, and then also anti-woke. You do you. I mean, some churches are going to build their church off of promoting wokeness, so you can't get mad if the church builds its promotions off of anti-wokeness. I mean, that's just it's a stupid world we live in. So overall, if I had to give this a number, I'd say 7 out of 10. But minus those few clarifications, like, hey, like this makes you upset. It's probably not for you, right? And it's funny that Hollywood gets to say that you hate our movies, you hate our TV, you hate our video games. This wasn't made for you. But the moment that we try to make something for men, it's all of a sudden bad. And that's just this, again, the upside down, stupid world we live in. if you're going to do an ad like this for your church, I would recommend getting a third set of eyes just to help you kind of make sure you know what you're getting into, make sure you have something that's going to resonate with the right people. Now, will this ad work? I'd honestly be surprised if it doesn't. Okay. I will honestly be surprised if this ad does not work. We need more masculine advertising that is for men, because men need to get back in the church. The church has been relegated to the sidelines in the community already, and too many women are stepping up in the church. Women need to step up in the church, but not at the expense of men stepping up in the church. And because the men have done nothing, the women are stepping up, and they're taking roles that they shouldn't take. They're writing communications and advertising promotions that are not going to resonate with men. And so, yeah, when you see an ad like this that actually is for a man, it's jarring, and it almost seems wrong if you've been raised up the wrong way. So I'd honestly be surprised if this ad does not work. But I think it can be a little bit better. I think a lot of it is going to be outblown, outrage. There's going to be a lot of fake outrage over this. It is what it is. But overall, man, I pray for this church, Kingsway Church, right here. Yeah, and now they're reposting. They're leaning into it. I love it. Yeah, things listed here are natural byproduct of faithful, fruitful, gospel-centered, Christ-exalting community. I would have said men, right? Like it's for the men. So again, I don't have a problem. I like if it's running. If someone came to me in the church, if I was the pastor or communications guy at this church, and someone came to me and said, "Hey, people are not happy about this. We need to go out and get all these, take these back," I would say no. It's working, right? And second of all, we're going to do this for 30 days, right? You don't put something out there and you meet a little resistance and then you stop, right? You don't stop working out because you get sore. You don't stop driving to work because you got rear-ended. You continue the mission, and if you believe that this is the way to do it, this is the way to do it. And also the branding's on point. I mean, really, this looks like just not knowing anything about the church. This looks like a traditional church that I grew up in, that my dad would love to go to. Reformed theology, I'm not there yet, or at all. I don't know, but biblical preaching, reverent worship, I think that's something we need a lot of as well. So I like it. I'm happy with it. And just looking at their profile here, it looks like they just started getting back up. So kudos to them. Let's take a look at their website here. Site speed needs to be addressed. Proclaiming Christ in Prescott. I would work on that headline, because gospel-centered, doctrinally sound, that's just repeating what you just said. Preaching the Bible verse by verse. That's not a problem. Nobody's up at night because they're like, oh, no one's preaching me the Bible verse by verse. I would workshop that to be a little bit more like, honestly, a little bit more like the ad. Talk about the outcome a little bit more. Your mission does not need to go on the homepage. No one cares about your mission. Love the message from the lead pastor. Let's see. Biblical, confessional, historical Christianity. Again, this is great for churchy people. I don't know if this is going to help. Latest sermons. I love that there. Family integrated worship. I like this should be way higher. And that's not a testimonial. That's from the pastor, but that's fine. Love this. Looks like they're built on Subsplash, which is great. Too many events on the homepage. Just have 3 or 4. And you don't need to have every men's meeting on the homepage. Start here. Oh, no, it's relearn.org. So kudos to them, Relearn. Maybe they're just using the Subsplash. Oh, well, maybe they designed it on Subsplash, or maybe they're just using their widget. What do you call it? Embed. And there's nothing wrong with that. So kudos to you guys. I like this. I think this is solid. I think, again, I always talk about 80-20. Do 20% of the work that's going to get you 80% of the way there. These guys are there. I would do a little bit more like the ad and focus on the outcomes, the results, the benefits, and, of course, Jesus. This is still a little bit too much focused on the church. I'm not shopping for a church. I'm looking for Jesus, and I need to see how your church does Jesus, essentially. So thank you guys for watching. Again, go to click on my name here, subscribe the video if you like the video, and subscribe if you want more, and go watch my video, how to turn website visitors to in-person guests. You follow the tips in this video, you'll have not only a good looking site like Kingsway, but you'll have one that will perform for your church to bring more people in so they can be discipled by your congregation, and you can make disciples and preach the gospel like you're called to do. God bless. I'll see y'all in the next video.